I bought this faulty PS2 Slim on eBay and it was sold with the fault description of intermittently reading discs. Now I can confirm when it landed, it did indeed intermittently read discs. I say did because I thought I was being clever by getting the multimeter out and adjusting the potentiometers on the laser assembly. However, now it doesn't read discs at all. So I've ordered a replacement laser assembly and I'm going to get those swapped out now and hopefully we can get this teeny tiny little console playing games again. So if you've never worked on the PS2 Slim before, it is a really easy console to take apart, certainly when it comes to getting to the actual laser assembly. On the bottom of the console, we have 6 screws that we need to remove. So there are 2 feet at the top and this cover here, and then these 3 covers here. These 2 feet, the ones closest to the front of the console, they stay on. Don't try and peel those off. So all we need to do is remove each of these. Quite easy to just remove. And these little feet ones come off as well. And this middle plastic one. Then you've got 6 screws to remove, which I won't bore you with. I'll remove those now. Once you've removed the screws, the console is actually really easy to take the case off. However, every time I do this, I still feel a little bit anxious with how much I'm pulling on the CD-ROM side, but it's perfectly normal. You just lift on this side quite easily, then you kind of have to wiggle and it'll eventually just pop off on the other side. So what we're looking for, if I just move this a little bit closer to you, is under the CD assembly here, there are actually 2 screws. If this camera would do some white balancing, which it doesn't look like it's going to do. Oh, no, there we go. So there's 2 screws on this assembly here. We want to remove those 2 screws so that we can remove this rod here. Once we do that, we'll be able to lift the laser assembly out. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to show you that now. So we remove these 2 teeny tiny little screws. There. With those removed, you can just lift up this assembly and slide off this little plastic tab. So just to show you again, plastic tab that we're pulling off is here. Just lift up and slide off. There are a couple of locating teeth or 1 or 2 little pegs. You just need to lift it up and slide it off. Once you've slid that off, you can just lift this assembly here and slide the rod back and out, which will allow you to lift the laser up. Once you've removed the rod, you're free to just simply flip the laser up and over. So you can see here the pots that I tried adjusting using values that I got off the internet. Unfortunately, however, the values that I got don't appear to have been for this console or for this laser assembly. So despite adjusting them to what I thought they should have been, testing some games and then moving it back, it still wouldn't play games even when I reverted it back to its original values. So I think I broke it. So just zooming in a little bit more for you there. Once we've got the laser assembly flipped out after removing that rod, all we need to do is lift this little tab retaining lever here so that we can disconnect the ribbon cable. So the ribbon cable originally sits in there, label side up, so there's a little pull tab label there. That is shiny side down, so the pins face down in there when you've got the laser in this position. And then once we've removed the old laser, we're ready to install the new one. Now you may notice a slight difference between the old laser and the new one, and that specifically is this blob of solder here. So these have a little blob of solder on them, which is apparently like an anti-static protection during shipping. So you need to make sure that you remove that solder blob before using the laser. I've seen so many reviews from people online who say they bought lasers and they don't work. I can't help but think they've probably not removed that blob of solder there. So looking at the original laser that is on the left and the replacement that is on the right, you can quite clearly see just up here, little solder blob that we need to remove that isn't present on the original, and also this little armature that we need to swap over onto the replacement. This just allows it to ride that threaded screw up and down to actually move. So what I'm going to do now is I've just heated up the soldering iron, so I'm going to take some solder braid or some solder wick. See if we can just remove this little bit of solder here from the side of the ribbon. So that's quite well. That's done its job. So now all we need to do is get it fitted. And as the old saying goes, refitment is reversal of removal. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just get this laser assembly popped back in there by opening that little clip again. Housed pin cable in there, and then plug it down by pushing that clip back in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the rod put back in now, get the laser put back on, and then we'll fire it up and we'll get it tested. Right, okay, so I've hooked the PS2 Slim up to my GBSC, which is going into a HDMI capture device, and we have Square Bob sponge pants in, and yeah, let's see if it works. I'm going to shut the lid, and we're going to power on the console, and you need to cross your fingers. Good luck. We hope that it works. I need to turn on the GBSC. Always a good idea. This works. To be fair, it sounds like it's reading the disc. PlayStation 2 logo, that's a good start. It's definitely reading. Hey! Where Bob Sponge Pants?
Welcome to our little tale of woe.
Hey. Oh, I always forget that camera controls were inverted back in the day. Why was that? Why were camera controls inverted? Like, why do I have to go that way to look right and that way to look left? So weird.
Yep, excitement, adventure, just another day in the life of a...
So there you have it, laser replacement, and we're good to go. It seems to be reading games okay. There's a couple of other games that I'm going to try putting in there to see if it reads them as well. But the fact that it's playing SpongeBob first time when I power the console on, when I first got it, I'd have to open and close the lid a few times, and you'd hear it try and read the disc, and then it'd stop, and you'd open and close the lid, it'd read the disc and stop. And eventually you get lucky and it would just read the disc. Now, almost everything I Googled suggested that there's a problem with the actual door switches, but in my opinion, wouldn't have tried to read the disc if it thought the door was open. So replacement laser seems to have got me back up and running. Now I'm going to do some more videos on this PS2 Slim because there's a couple of mods that I want to do to it. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and I'll carry on making more of them. I just randomly started choking on thin air then. Oh. Why do we do that?